Hello and welcome to the Cronos Watcher. Another check-in on the charts. Let's get straight into it. Well, not to waste too much of your time. So looking at MMF here, it's always at the top of our list at the moment. For the moment, we have seen continued upside here again on the daily. Another bit of recovery after the scare we were talking about. So what do we have? We had an open of 98 cents and we are now closing at 105. It looks we're again 4 hours before close at the moment. So we'll have to see what happens with that. In the meantime, hopefully we're seeing some continued upside strength and recovery now. It's our first day of a fully green candle so far. So again, 4 hours off on the daily yet. We'll have to see what happens with it. Let me double check everything on our stream here, make sure we're doing okay. It seems so. So just on the 4 hour, see the action, get a feel for the volatility. You can see here from yesterday at 8 o'clock in the evening, we had an open of 101 and a close of 98 cents, a little dip there, and then we came straight back up to that 102 level on the midnight candle there, and it's been upwards since over the course of the days. UTC, this is all UTC time, to remember that. So set yourself in the middle and then offset to wherever you are in the world. So that's MMF for now, looking like we're recovering back up over that dollar mark in the meantime, and we'll see what happens to us after that. So let's jump straight away over to SVN Savannah and have a look at that. I'm only realizing now I forgot to tweet our stream out. Isn't that just terrible? I may have to have a look at doing that in the meantime, and then we'll edit it back out, but it's all good. Most of you tend to check in after the fact, which is handy. I want that to be something for you. You can just check up here and get the price. But Savannah at the moment, we have seen an opening currently of 135 on our daily, and it's looking like we might have a close of 140. So a small bit of a move to the upside again. We're looking sluggish, a bit slower after that massive sell event on Savannah. So hoping we might see some strength and recovery again. If we have anything like some sort of lessons to go by in the past, we have seen dips like this before of quite a large percentage, 40% or more, and have seen recovery. So that's the hopium for the moment, is that we get a bit of recovery off the back of this. But for Savannah on the 22nd at least, it's looking like we might have a green candle at 140 close with a 130 open. So far our highs and lows have been within that range as well, 143 and 134 high and low for Savannah. So again, hopium that we continue the upside to roughly that 150 cents dollar. We'd want to watch out and be careful of dropping below the 135 and 130 range. We might see continued downside there, so one to keep an eye on if you are in it at the moment, just to watch to see, are we seeing that recovery in the next couple of days. But we'll check it again. So going to check over here on MSHARE. I'll just take a quick pause, grab a quick drink. So we're just waiting for the crummy internet to catch up with us. Bandwidth always an issue here, but hopefully we'll be able to improve that soon. Just looking here again at the daily on MSHARE, we are seeing an exciting run. We did try and make our way up to that 13,000 range recently, but again suffering the sell event over the last couple of days. So seeing some recovery, slight recovery there. There's still a bit of sell pressure, probably due to, desire to take profit in case we see continued downside. At the moment, it looks like we might have found some support at the bottom there at $10,000. We're looking to move out of that range at the moment, though. Hopefully 11.5, looking 11.50, looking like a range. that we want to break out of, and again look for continued moves to the upside to 12 and 13,000 for MSHARE if we were to see recovery and a continued upside trend. You can see here it was so new and young during that sell event. We had some sort of a trend upwards, but this was quite a monumental spike, so healthy, if anything, to see those returns to that level of 8,000 and some profit taking and then continued upside. That's a safer thing altogether. So we would want to watch and be careful of the below 10,000 range. Is quite a significant psychological level. If we dropped below there for any significant length of time, we'd want to be careful. So that's it for Savannah at the moment. What do we have? An opening of $10,472 and a close of $10,730. It's looking at the moment quite volatile at the moment, so 4 hours away from the close on the daily. We'd want to keep an eye on that. Could even see it move into a red candle if we move back below that open of 1047. That's $10,472 was the open for you. So, and the day before the open was 11,032, and we had moved down to that 10,472 level. So again, looking to break out of those support levels up above the 12,000, get back into those exciting psychological levels, moving towards the 15. Otherwise, I think if we move down below that 10,000 level, we might see some psychological panic and sell-offs. Again, strength implied in those big wicks at the bottom of those scary candles on the 17th and 18th for all of the Mad Meerkat ecosystem. It seems like we have some strong recovery across the board. Mad Meerkat Optimizer I want to have a quick look at, just check how long we're streaming for. That's not too bad. I'm trying to move faster if I can. Nobody wants to hang around on the charts for 20 minutes. So we're at 861 at the moment. We had an open of 831 and a close of 861. It looks 4 hours away from the close now, so that would be one to keep an eye on. Our low at the moment has been 813 and our high we're currently at of 860. If we look at the day before, we had a very small amount of volume again, and on the 20th it seems that Mad Meerkat Optimizer seemed to react to the rest of the ecosystem and what happened. Quite a lot of volume, 3 million in volume, and we had an open that day of 914 and a close of 844. So quite a drop, quite a percentage drop as well, 7% down on the daily. So what we're looking at here is a possible 3% rise, very stable, small amount of volume on MMO, and hopefully no continued downside. We'd want to see ourselves break up above those $8.75 and $9 ranges again to see continued upside. Again, significant psychological level at $9, and then obviously it should hopium would be a race to the $10 psychological level. Narrative for the ecosystem is quite strong, so the hopium would be that we see a strong recovery off this slight downtrend that we've seen for MMO in the last 2 days. It's not really a trend, is it? But just a slight drop off after the sell event. I presume it's just a sort of a slight spread of the infection and desire to take profits on the part of people who are invested in the ecosystem. So that's MMO. Moving on now, Sky has broken into the ranges we were discussing in yesterday's stream, I think, if not definitely the day before that. Kind of went on a slight rant about Sky as we were looking at it and it breaking up really fast, and you can see here now that we have hit those $1,500 range. Excuse me 1 second. To cough, clear the throat, excuse me. We've broken above that $1,500 range, which was incredibly significant psychologically in particular. The platform has seen continued interest and narrative. They have released some sneak peeks of things they are doing on the inside in their Discord at least. So if you aren't there, you should most definitely check that out. But it seems that this is a narrative driven spike, so interest in the ecosystem, possibly movement out of other parts of the chain into the dark crypto platform. one to be definitely careful of. You can see we were talking yesterday about this fact, and the open yesterday was 12.45 with a close of 14.59. So quite a large range, quite an amount of volume is something to be careful of. The fact that that 17% plus range can now just as easily be corrected very quickly, as often is the case with these projects. There's a lot of volume has gone on already for this token, so you'd expect quite a lot of profit taking at the same time. But it seems that the platform is on a bit of a narrative ramp at the moment, so certainly one to keep an eye on. And again, we'll 4 hours away from the close at the moment, but possibly looking at 1580 roughly as a close. We had a high again of 1654 and a low of 1499. So very healthy volume, but very volatile at the same time. It opened at 1459. So that's going to be an exciting one, I was going to say, to see play out over the course of the rest of the 4 hour close, and then throughout to tomorrow and the rest of the week, see what's happening over there. Very interesting things happening, and see how the ecosystem takes it, how much profit taking we get, or do we see continued uptrend during some form of hype wave. So that's it for Sky at the moment. Again, 14.59 open. It's looking like we might see a 15.80. I would say possibly even 15.50 with not too much selling in the meantime, 4 hours before the close on the 22nd. So only, I think, one or two more to cover. This is a CRN here. Just look at the 4 hour first just to get a feel for volatility. We've really dropped off again, and I actually meant to do this for myself. What I might do here is remove our Bollinger Bands because they're not very useful at the moment. I think they tend to show up the default, or I added it, I can't even remember. But I've been trying to do that, get TradingView to show up in default ways here, but I seem to have to change all the charts. So I don't know what, it's very selective with what it chooses to help me out with. But we've seen further downside here now on CRN over the course of the last day. Had quite a significant sell volume there in at 8 o'clock on 8 o'clock in the morning yesterday, and has led to further downside. So if we check our daily here, just let that load, you can see that it's looking like quite a scary spike downwards. Our volume had really dropped off, and it stayed very calm, and in the last 2-3 days we've seen quite a bit of sell volume again, moving down to those psychologically dangerous levels we were talking about before of $5 and below. That's why you might see a lot of profit taking, even from people who wouldn't feel like it was worth it normally, who would have waited to see further upside above that $10 range. We'd see a lot of this, what we're seeing here right now, which is the panic profit taking. I would imagine due to the ICO level and just the state of things for the project, we would see that at the moment, a move down to $5 and below. The only hope, I suppose, is that the project manages to change a lot of the narrative at the moment, and then we can switch things up that way. I suppose my guess at a bottom side target will be around those original support levels of $2 and above. But of course, we might have a lot more sell pressure in the project now due to its size, literally the amount of wallets which are accruing rewards at the moment, even if they have halved in the last while. So one to be careful of if you are in at the moment. Again, just covering it so that people are updated on the price there. Very interesting run at the moment, and what we want to see is a change in narrative for the project that will give us tick to the upside. So far at the moment, I was kind of worrying about this, where the volume drops off and then do we see another move down. What we would look to confirm this move now is kind of hitting that 510, 520 ranges within the next couple of candles on the daily will not be great news, because that's where you see real psychological movements then to down into the $4, $2.50, etc. So that's it for CRN at the moment. We'll check back in tomorrow. Hopefully it can make a turnaround at the moment, but seems another continued downtrend after that psychological level of the $10 for CRN. excuse me there. One last one to cover, the NESS token, Darkness Share, and I've seen this starting to spread around the YouTube sphere a bit, so we may see some narrative surrounding this come out. Any stablecoin swap platforms tend to be quite popular, and Darkness itself is on a bit of a run at the moment, the platform in general, with its whole algorithmic approach and pegged stablecoins. So now they've got the Darkness US dollar, which is a pegged and I believe is going to be a stable asset. Do your own research and reading there. That is absolutely not a statement of fact. I must check that out again. But certainly it's a stable coin swap, and the Dark Crypto platform also has its algorithmic token. So it's drawing a lot of attention at the moment. So excuse me 1 minute again. Sorry, don't know what's wrong with the throat today. What we are looking for is the news narrative really to take this one to the upside. I would imagine we might see continued downside with boredom in said news narrative. So we've been floating around this 55 to 65 cents range, let's say, since it leveled off after some ICO craziness. You can see it went all the way up to wherever, we don't care. And then in some of the candles here, it had some panic buys and sells up to the $110 range. It seemed to level off there from 75 cents to roughly 63. And now in the last couple of days, we've been seeing some really relaxed volume. Seems to be trending slightly to the downside. So again, boredom essentially with the narrative. I think they're waiting on the boardroom equivalent. You must do your own reading and research again on this, but they will be releasing staking that is sort of equivalent to the Sky boardroom, where you can earn the Sky token. So there's going to be, I believe, the NESS room or something like that, where you can essentially stake to earn NESS, I think. Something you want to check in on yourself if you're interested in the platform. But again, the NESS share token, something that's just getting a bit of attention itself now, and something we're waiting to see some uptick if there's continued news. Again, some YouTube channels and things like that covering it. Dark Crypto itself getting a lot of attention might be one that we see. The hopium would be that we see some upside trend just with the news narrative. So you can see over the last couple of days we've had some pretty significant volume for the ecosystem, at least. 600k there on the 20th, 549k on the 21st, and today we've seen so far 350k, so it should be hopefully as much in the end. The open was 61 and it's looking like we've only moved to 60 cents at the moment. We did have a dip all right to 59, so possible downside during this candle, looking for the daily to close above the 61 if we can, to see a green candle and maybe an indication of upside. But what we would, if you're sitting in it right now, we want to try and float between the 58 cents range and the 61, 62, just with continued boredom of the narrative. We would see some fear down towards the 57, 55 range. Once you get to the 55, it's kind of free for all, because again, if people don't have something to be excited about and they are waiting for those opportunities, and we don't have more new people coming in, more new money, then that would be a serious indication of downside, any boredom in the narrative. Hopium then would be from the 65 cents range and up. If we can break through there, it looks like there is some resistance at the top that we might see continued upside there. But at the moment, not looking like too much volume or anything to be too scared about for NESS, the Darkness Share token. So that's it for me, the Cronos Watcher, checking in with the charts for now. Tried to keep it under the 20 minutes, so we'll try and get faster again if we can. I'm looking at my stats here, a lot of dropped frames, and it seems that the stream isn't performing so well. And viewing them back, it seems I do drop a lot, but we'll try and do something about that. So like when I go back to my screen here, it just tells me an error occurred. That's all. So hopefully the stream is there at the end. I just have to hope. So I'll have to do that someday. Just do a test out one, that's all, and check it out. Apologies for the breaths. Bit of nerves at the same time, but we'll be back at the same time roughly tomorrow, and we'll see you again for some updates. That's all for now from the Cronos Watcher. Thanks for joining.